Hi, my name's Alan Flanders, and this is my first screencast on September 2nd, 2011. Today I'm going to show just some subtleties about the data effectivity table functionality and what it can do and what it can't do, just based on my findings. So what I've set up here is a new table. It has data effectivity turned on, valid time, state, field type, set to date. I've set up an index on the ID and valid from, and I've set that index to have no gap. It's also my alternate key. So everything should be set up here. We'll just go into the table browser and start creating records and see what we can do with this. So we'll call this our first record, and we'll give it ID1. We're going to make it valid from the beginning of time to the end of time, and save that record. That seems to be okay. So let's create another record, and we'll give it ID1 again, and we'll make this record valid from the 1st of September to the end of time. So what I would suspect is going to happen when I hit save is that's going to try and change the valid to on my first record to be August 31st, 2011, and leave my record, my second record, alone, so that there are no gaps between the two records. So I'm going to save that. And it's asking me if I want to adjust the dates on other records to meet the date effectivity rules. And I'll just say yes, and voila, there we go. It did exactly what I thought it was going to do. It adjusted the last date for my first record to be August 31st, 2011. Good stuff. So let's just add another one in here, and we'll call it our third record, and let's put this in 91. We're going to make it valid on October 1st, and again I would suspect that it's going to fill in the valid to date on my second record for me, and there it goes. It does that. So let's try something else. Let's try creating a new record that precedes my first record and see if AX is smart enough to automatically fill in the valid from date in my first record to fill in, to make sure there are no gaps. So I'm going to put in before record, and we'll call ID, give it ID1, and we're going to make it valid from the beginning of time to July 31st, 2011. So what I would suspect AX is going to do is populate my first record valid from column to be August 1st, 2011. So let's see if it does that. Save. No, that is not what it's going to do. It says I can't create the record because an invalid value specified in effective. That's great naming. It cannot be greater than or equal to the effective of the first record. So that's kind of a funny error message. So it's obviously not going to let me do it. So what am I going to have to do to make that work? It seems to allow records after the latest record, but it doesn't allow them before. So I think in order to do this, I'm going to have to put in 8/1/2011, and then I can create my before record. ID1. Tab isn't working for me, but that's okay. I'm going to make it valid from the beginning of time to, and just for fun, I'm just going to make this July 30th to see if it's going to adjust this date for me. And we'll save that, and it's asking me if I want to adjust the date, and sure enough, it did adjust the date for me, and everything's hunky-dory. So the lesson learned here is that I can put in records after the most recent record or the last record, but I can't insert them before. Another thing I'd like to do is insert a record. So if I want to insert a record between the first and second record, let's see what that does. ID1, and I'm going to make this August 10th, and I'll make the last date August 15th. Well, I suppose there are two things that I could do in this case. It could change my first record to go until from July 31st to August 9th, and then it could adjust my second record to go from August 16th to September 30th. It could do that, or it would have to insert a record potentially on either side of this inserted time span that I'm putting in. So let's just see what AX does if it can figure this out after I save this record. Okay, there we go. Save. And no, it's not going to let me do that. Again, it's giving me an error about the effectivity cannot be greater than or equal to the effective of the first record. And to be honest, it's not a very helpful error message. But really, at the end of the day, we've proven that it can't do that. So I think we've shown what I've shown a couple interesting facts about how the data effectivity works. It can be quite helpful, but there are some maybe gaps in the functionality that you could either build out on your own by extending it extending the functionality on the table, or just learning to live with some of the limitations. One thing I did notice is that if you delete what is entered in the valid2 field, so let's just put a date in here, let's say 10/31, and save that, and that should be fine because that's my third record. And if I accidentally delete that, well, what it was saying to before was the 0 date or min date, and that's not very helpful because my valid2, if I blank that out, what I really want it to be is December 31st, 2154. So one thing I did to extend this table is I changed the modified field functionality so that if my valid2 is set to null, then it automatically sets it back to max date, which is, you know, from a usability standpoint, what I would expect to see happen. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that screencast, and I'll try and post more of them along the way as I come across interesting functionality in AX 2012. Thanks.